And we're live.
Welcome back to Lionscapes, dear creatives and everyone who loves to sketch.
Yeah, hello. I hope you're doing fine.
So today we have a tutorial for you and we will show you how to draw and sketch mountains. We'll show you step by step, we'll take you through the process and basically show you how we do it.
Right. So I hope you're excited for it and prepare your materials. This live stream is as an action or something that we do because we are reopening Creative Compass.
What is Creative Compass, you ask? Well, that is our membership and community program for creatives who like to sketch. So we'll tell you more about it and you can definitely check it out in the link below because it's a special time until Christmas. We also have a special offer for you.
Right. So today's plan is first to look at, to do the sketch. We're gonna tell you what kind of materials you're gonna need and what you're gonna learn. Then we're gonna guide you step by step through the whole sketching process. And then at the end, we would love to tell you a bit more about Creative Compass and of course answer all your questions regarding sketches or any other things.
All right, so yeah, get your questions ready. If you're watching this live, you can type them in the live chat. We'd be thrilled to see where everyone is tuning in from and what you're eager to learn. And if you're watching this later on replay, then just leave them in the comments and we'll be sure to answer them.
Okay, so Gasper, what will we need for today's sketching session?
Yes, so it's pretty basic. Today we just need some paper, right? So you can take any kind of paper. And I have here a ballpoint pen. This is a Pilot V-Ball, basically our favorite pen. And I have a bit of a thicker pen or marker. This is like a marker that I've been using a lot lately. And you know, basically all you need is one of these or just one, maybe just a pen. And you can also do it with a pencil if you don't have anything else at hand at the moment. But you'll see it should suffice. And what you see on the right side, this is here the image, is the mountain we're going to be drawing today together. So it's a pretty generic mountain. We picked a photo. I don't even know where it is. If someone recognizes this, then yeah, be sure to let us know. But it's like a mountain you will probably encounter if you're trying to draw mountains. So without further ado, I will start. Let's put a title here and say what we're doing today. So it's a tutorial on how to sketch mountains. All right, so let's draw a small mountain here. There you go. How to sketch mountains is today's topic. And like I said, we'll go through it step by step. First of all, let's make like maybe like a frame for us. So we will have a space, we'll have enough space for drawing. So I'll make a frame here. You know, sketching out like a frame that you will use is it's quite a good thing because it kind of frames whatever you do. It gives you a reference so you don't, you know, go out of it. It also kind of looks cool. So in a lot of my sketches, I just draw a frame first. And you can do it too. So if you're ready and if you're watching this live, give us a yes and a go so we can start. And let's have fun.
Okay. So what is the first step that you're gonna do?
Yeah, so the first step is basically getting the image to fit into the square, right? To fit into the rectangle I just drew.
Right, because very often it happens that's how somehow you start on one side and then at the end nothing fits in the format or on the sketch.
Yes, exactly. So and that's called mapping. So I'll say map it out first. This would be in general quite a good rule for anything that you draw. What do I mean by mapping? Mapping is a process where you kind of roughly, sketch out the form or whatever you're doing onto the paper. And I usually do it just by putting some points on paper. I look at the image of the mountain and then I know, okay, this is going to be one peak is around here. The second peak will be around here. I just do some dots. Then the bottom of the mountain will be here. The foot of the mountain will be here. And then it goes like this to the right. So the other end will be here. And there's also something will end around here. So with just these couple of points, I kind of gave myself an idea how big my sketch will be, and will make sure that it fits on paper, because it's nothing more embarrassing than if you start drawing a mountain and then the peak doesn't fit on paper. This is rather, unfortunate. So this is first step, map it out, just by doing some points, right? So you can put them on paper roughly, and once you do, and you're happy with how they fit, if they don't fit, you can still kind of adjust them. But it's just about visualizing what you're going to draw on your page. So always do that. It's not just mountains, it's always a good thing to do. Okay, step 2. Draw the outline. So this is now the first time where we are going to look at the mountain and give it its rough outline. And let me give you like a pro tip here. Don't try to draw the mountain. Try to draw the negative space. Look at the sky, rather. Try to draw the negative space, because this will trick your brain into observing the forms better and will allow you to draw a more accurate outline of the image before you.
You can also say, instead of, when we sketch out elements, we tend to name them, like, oh, this is a tree, or this is a mountaintop, or whatever. Try to, instead of saying this is a mountaintop, instead of that, just say, okay, this is like a triangle or a wiggly line or whatever, because this will also somehow release this tension from your brain that it needs to be one-on-one the same, right?
Yeah, this is like a nice trick that we also teach in our Creative Compass membership program, how to draw with the right side of the brain. So right. If you're interested in that, this could be something you can definitely improve. So I've drew the outline here. I must admit I'm pretty fast. Probably if you're still on it, don't worry. You can. It doesn't have to be too perfect. Just a rough outline. And now we come to my favorite part. And this is actually what I want to convey today with this tutorial when drawing mountains. And I'll explain what I mean. So think of the mountains as volumes, right? Step 3 would be draw the volumes. So what do I mean by that? Mountains, if you look at them, right, they appear flat. Maybe you see some different faces, but they often, like you would kind of at the first glance think they're kind of just a background image. But if you think about them the way they actually are, that they're like conical volumes, this will help you with drawing them later. Let me show you what I mean. And I'll do just a little small sketch here to explain. So if you see a mountain from above, it would be roughly like a pyramid, right? I think of them as like small pyramids. A bit more complex, maybe they have more faces than a pyramid. A pyramid is, I think, mathematically correct only with 4 faces, but or rather 4 faces in a base. But think of the mountains as pyramids, as complex pyramids. Some are smaller, some maybe are even like a double pyramid. They have a double peak. And if you will think about mountains this way, then the way you draw them and observe them will completely change.
Right.
So this is our mountain massif, and think of it as an arrangement of small pyramids. There you go, small pyramids. So, having this in mind, let's look back at the image of the mountain. And you can see when I say draw the volumes, we're basically drawing the many faces of this pyramid. So let's start with the big one. It kind of has like a one face, you know, that's pretty bright, roughly here. And then there's this face that's more like in the shade here. So already drew from the biggest peak, I already drew two faces. And then there's like it goes down here, this pyramid, and then it has like a small part here as well. And so this is already roughly subdivided into like 2-3 faces. Let's go to the next one. The other peak, the shorter one, has more faces. It looks like it has here a couple faces, and then there has like a complex one coming down like this, and then there is another one here, right? And think of this as like a corrugated surface, the many faces of this mountain pyramid. Now let's move on to the rest of those. The rest of those are like more finely corrugated or wrinkled. So you can draw all those wrinkles and imagine how they are like different, many broken off faces, like a glass shard or something that has broken off. And they have like more faces. And always try to draw those faces as closed shapes. Right? You see, I close this shape, I close this shape, this is like a closed shape, this is a closed shape. Don't just do a line, don't just, you know, go do something like this. No, close this shape to an end. You know, you can see this is actually another face and it forks off here. It looks something like this. Now let's go to the ones on the left. Each of those teeth, basically, it's like its own volume. Some have two faces, some have one. And is there anything else here? Yeah, then you can see a bit more corrugations here. And at one point, like, you don't even need to do it too exactly, just do it roughly. There's one more here, like a bulge, like a small volume, small pyramid sticking out here. And some on the bottom here as well. So this is one. And then here is something else. And as you can see, I always finished the bottom.
You close the lines.
I closed the lines. Now, this is our draw the volumes. Now comes another pro tip. And this is quite important because mountains are always like in the context of a landscape. So I will put here, draw the foot of the mountain. Draw the foot. What do I mean by that? Let's look at our image again. So you can see that these kind of mountain massives, these rocks and everything, they either go all the way down to the tree line or they end in these in this gravel. So what I usually do, I would go directly to the tree line before I finish off all those lines that go all the way down. I will go to the tree line first, draw the furthermost tree line. I'll just do it because they're like conifer trees, and you will mostly encounter conifer trees in mountains because they grow on higher altitudes. I will draw this tree line first, and this is actually our foot of the mountain, because now all the rest of the lines you can just kind of extend to this line of trees. And this will ground the mountain, this will give it context and will ground it in the context of the landscape, right? Once I have this, I can go on and do the rest of the trees. There's one more layer here, a bit nearer. and there's one even closer to us. So whatever the landscape underneath us, you can then finish off, you know, after you have drawn the foot of the mountain. This is important. So like if this was a mountain, this here, the line is the foot, and it's never just cut off. It's always a bit jagged. Sometimes the forest reaches higher, sometimes lower, so be mindful of that. All right, we are already basically pretty far with our sketch. It's already looking good, but now we need to add some textures. So let's do it in step 5, add textures. And now is the point where your style of drawing can kind of differentiate from itself from other styles, but I will show you how I basically do these textures. I kind of follow the rock lines that one sees, but in the mountain, right? You see that the mountain has kind of some fissures, some lines, and stuff like that, and I will draw the textures a bit according to those how would you call them, geological lines or layers of rock deposits and everything, you know, that all the sediments that basically make up the body of the mountain. It used to be the sea or whatever, millions of years ago. And what you already see is I'm a bit already choosing to draw the textures more or less on the side that's in the shade. We're still going to do the shading in the final step, but I already kind of use the textures to describe the volume of the mountain. So I'm adding more where there is shadow, and then less where the mountain is actually illuminated by the sun.
Mm-hmm. Okay, for this process, I will just stop you here for a moment. Can you once again maybe just try to describe where you draw the line for the vegetation? And you know, I mean, maybe for you it's very easy to recognize different elements like hard rocks, and then you have the gravel and the green, right, landscape, and then the trees. Can you maybe just outline them in a sense, like can you just hover over them and tell us which part is which, so that we have like typology of elements?
Sure. Yeah, let's do a recap before we go to the final step and shade it. So first of all, keep in mind that you think of these mountains as kind of small pyramids or maybe crystals. Crystals is also a nice analogy, like a bit broken off jagged crystals. So these are basically these crystals. You can see this is like one, or this is the second one. There's like some jagged ones out here, then these are some down here. So these are all the rocky parts. Then underneath those rocky parts, you would often have in many mountains, and this one as well, like a kind of smooth area where this gravel erodes and
it breaks down to smaller stones,
and it becomes kind of really small gravel, and it's just like a smooth slope running up to this rocky crystalline form that goes out.
Mm-hmm.
And then underneath the smooth surface, you have the line of trees. And since the line of trees is usually a jagged one, I usually draw it first, you know, so and kind of observe how high and low it goes, and then draw the textures and the lines of those smooth hills all the way down to the tree line. And then after I have this, I can, you know, work on the rest of the landscapes that's in front.
Mm-hmm.
I hope this helped.
Yeah, definitely.
To kind of recap all the elements that we have.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, meanwhile, I've been doing some textures on the mountain, and you can see I also did like maybe just some shapes on the mountain, on those bright faces. And those shapes are usually kind of parts that appear a bit darker, and they actually quite make the mountain look really more realistic, I would say. So these shapes, these enclosed shapes, are definitely useful for depicting like the rocks, the massive of the mountain. Okay, so far so good. Now we have the mountain. Now it's time to give it some texture and give it some shading.
Oh wow, yeah. I think this part will really bring everything to life, right?
Yeah, definitely. Shading, it's a kind of it's a great element, great technique to help you bring drawings to life, make them sketches look more three-dimensional. We do talk a lot about it in our membership as well on different occasions, but it's definitely something we always emphasize. There you go. So I look at those faces, and now I try to find out, like, okay, which ones of them are kind of in the shade, and I will just use a texture, a hatch, a oblique hatch to shade them. Why an oblique hatch? Because an oblique hatch will give us the feeling that these things are more corrugated. Some are in front of the others. So I wouldn't use a vertical hatch. A vertical hatch would make it more flat. I would use a kind of oblique hatch in one or the other direction.
And you can be as precise as you want. You can have like 45-degree angle or 60% angle, whatever you want.
Yeah, whatever you want. Like I'm not so precise. I kind of change angles, but important thing is like I kind of in the end I kind of get this feeling of volume. And now there are some more. Oh, so I forgot to write it down. It's shading, and let's put here a hatch, an oblique hatch that I'm using for shading. And now once I have this, now there are some parts that are really dark, some more darker spots, and I will use my marker for this, but you can still use your pen. And I will add some, I will look at the mountain and add some of those really dark spots. This is definitely giving it a little bit more realistic feeling. And also these dark spots, Sonia calls them beauty spots, usually make the drawing look more attractive. Why? Because they give the eye an anchor to wander around the image, and they kind of allow you to wander and explore the image. It helps the eye wander off and explore the image. So
yeah, those beauty spots work like anchors, so to say. So pay attention to that, how your sketch works without those beauty spots, and if you add just a few, is there any difference? You might be surprised.
Yeah, true. Now I'll also give a little bit of texture to the bright surfaces, because else they would be completely white. And to also differentiate them from those, from the slopes below. And now we have this mountain. Here it has the texture and everything, but the whole image looks a bit out of balance. And it's because we still need to give the forest and the landscape underneath a bit of texture. So now I will go into this last forest line, this layer of forest underneath the mountain, and also color it in.
So what Gaspar is just doing is layering, right? Layering the texture. There's also a cardscape. It's like a small postcard with tips on it, where we also say why this is good and why do we use it when sketching landscapes. And yeah, layering is very useful, which means that you color in one part or one layer, leave the second one blank, and then the third one you color in again. And by that you're gonna create this layer kind of feeling that will really give the whole sketch a feeling of depth. Yeah, and this is what Gaspar just did.
Yeah, so for those of you who are asking yourself, what are cardscapes? These are drawing tips on postcards that we created, and you can definitely find them. We'll put a link into the description below. You can order them, we send them to you wherever you are in the world, and you have your own postcards that you can practically tuck into your sketchbook, and they have the most essential drawing tips, like this, how to draw landscapes and composition and stuff like that. And we definitely go into in depth on how to draw landscapes more in Creative Compass. There are several tutorials on sketching this, and one of those is definitely just layering and creating a feeling of depth.
Right. Yeah, it's always useful, right? If you have this information that you can also practice with some examples, so that's very good. That's a good advantage. And yeah, wow.
Yeah, I added even some trees are up front to give them a bit more.
Again, with an outline, right?
A bit more outline, a bit more detail up front. There's always also this question of detail. If you give the stuff up front more detail, then it appears closer. And apart from that, I think I am approaching the result I'm happy with. So you can gladly also continue at your own pace, watch this on replay, pause and go on. And if you have some questions now and you're watching live, be sure to drop them into the comment box. And if you're watching this later, you can definitely leave us a comment or a question, and we'll try to answer it as best as we can.
So if you're asking yourself, at what point should you stop creating or working on your sketch, I suggest that you squint with your eyes, right? Just make them small and then look what do you see, because when we squint with our eyes, we tend to lose the detail, right? The detail information that we perceive with our eyes, and this is how we can focus on things like contrasts and textures much more. And this is also like a good pro tip that we can share with you. Try it out. I think this will be also very helpful for those who tend to really, just fall into the paper and don't know how to zoom out. So this is good tip to somehow,
All right. So we'll come back to the image to answer your questions. And if you like this, we promise to give you some more information on our membership and community for people, for creatives who like to sketch. It is called Creative Compass. It's a great program we've been working on for a whole year, filling it with content, and now it's finally open for enrollment. So if you are a creative who likes to sketch, Sonia, why would you join?
So there are so many good points why you should join. One of them is there are more than 20 courses on how to sketch, how to upgrade your mindset as a creative and as sketcher.
Yeah.
So there's the first thing. The second thing is once a month we do Q&A feedback session with us live, where we will give you feedback on your sketches. Also, if you have any kind of creative struggles, this is really the way how you can progress with feedback, right?
Yeah, it's always, watching YouTube videos and tutorials is one thing. Of course, it helps. But the most valuable thing is that you get direct comments on your work.
Nice.
So as a member, you can just send those, take a snapshot of your work, and then in a Zoom call with us, we'll give you all the feedback and stuff like that. So this really helps.
Yeah. Beside that, you also get access to our private Creative Compass community. This membership program works just because of our community. This is the vital part of these huge projects that we're doing. And beside that, you also get a set of cardscapes that we just mentioned before. If you enroll in this holiday season, you will also get one shipped to your home for free.
So we have a link, check it out if you're interested in that, in the description box. Like we said, we have a special offer now until Christmas, and check it out in the video description, and Sonia will also drop it into the live chat. And yeah, if you have any further questions on the topic we covered today, sketching mountains, we'll gladly cover it. And now I just like to do a short recap of all the steps, so we remember what we have learned today. So first of all, how to sketch mountains. I would start with mapping it out. We made some points to kind of get an idea where the peaks are, where is the foot of the mountain, where the second peak is. So we have these things all on paper and don't kind of end up running out of space. Second thing was drawing an outline. We gave you a pro tip to kind of look at the sky and observe the negative space of the mountain. This will help you. This will trick your brain into going to right brain mode and help you with that. Then we said draw the volumes. You know, think about mountains as small pyramids or crystals. Draw the foot of the mountain. You know, this is important that you kind of ground it. So, and then usually it would be the last tree line. And then X some texture, and in the end, do the shading. So this was a simple step-by-step tutorial, and if you have any questions, we'll gladly answer them.
We have questions.
So let's go into the Q&A.
One and the most basic question ever. So for always, not ever, but always, what kind of paper and pen are you using?
Obviously, yeah. So I already anticipated this. So this is a Pilot V-Ball 7. There are different kinds of Pilot V-Balls, but we like them all. This is a Pilot V-Ball 05. Basically, they're great because they're waterproof and they flow really nicely.
That's also a liquid ink pen, right?
Yeah.
So ink is very useful and very practical tool to use because it does not smudge, because it dries out very nicely, and it's also waterproof. So we found a pen that joins both of those things, and it's great.
Yeah, we drop a link to it into the video description.
What kind of paper are you using?
It's a normal paper. It's nothing special. I don't even know the brand, to be honest. So for sketching, it's not so important to have the best paper. It's not like with watercolors where the paper is essential. Just have a paper that is not too thin and kind of feels good for you. So this is how I choose papers for sketching.
Okay, so then we have like a very interesting question. When do you draw a mountain? Why and what's the purpose?
So mountains are one of my favorite subjects to sketch. I love the way they look. I love the feeling of kind of, you know, trying to describe this mountain massive, trying to depict those volumes. It really feels like kind of, you know, broken off crystals coming out of the ground. I don't know, I just love drawing mountains. When do I do it? Whenever I see a mountain. You know, right now we're living in Berlin and it's completely flat and I miss mountains. So when I see a mountain, I have this urge to sketch the mountain.
So if you're an analytical person, what's more important, to do something abstract or to do it really precise, one-on-one, you know, detailed?
Well, I would say always go for more abstraction and simplification.
Why?
Because sketching is simplification. If you would want to have a depiction of something one-on-one, you would take a photograph, right? Photograph takes everything in, all the information, even more than we can handle when we're observing it. But when you sketch, you reduce it to the things that interest you, the things you like, the things you enjoy sketching. So yeah, it's completely okay to abstract to whatever degree you want.
Yeah, because I would like to add to this that sketching is truly a tool, right? It can be also very visually appealing, but sketching can be also used as a tool for thinking, for designing, for analysis. And if you're an analytical person, you can really harvest this knowledge or use sketching as a tool to analyze the different aspects of the things that you're perceiving with your free eye. It can really help you think, you know, because everything, we have different kinds of thinking. We are visual, we hear things, we think about them. Sometimes we need to speak about them. And sketching is one of those extra tools. So if you're an analytical person, this is a great tool for you. That's why it's cool to learn to, so for example, why to sketch mountains in that kind of a way. Okay, so I think we answered all the questions for today.
Like we said, be sure to check out the Creative Compass membership community. The link is in the video description. It's in the chat box. And until Christmas, there is a special offer. It's additional 20% off, no matter if you subscribe for 1 month or for 1 year. It will last for you who are watching now for a whole year, this offer, but only if you subscribe until Christmas. So use that. And I hope to see you in one of our next videos,
Yeah.
or wherever you are. And I'd be thrilled to see what you have drawn today with us. So make a photo, tag us on Instagram, lionscapes.drawing. It would be awesome to see what you have created, or you can share it in our Facebook group, Lionscapers.
Right. So thank you for being a part of this great live stream. We are also receiving thank yous here in the community, and Nahum said that we helped him through his freshman year.
Wow.
Yeah, so thank you for everyone who participated today. We hope we're gonna see your sketches. And till next time, you know what to do.
Keep on drawing.
And stay creative.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.